Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a long trip for them, but they it's only had to go to Thunder Bay, but then rent a car to go up to Red Lake.
Mm. Oh, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, the funny thing is, I was actually seeing a documentary about somebody going that direction yesterday. They were going on train, to do things with trains, but they went through that area.
That's the
Anyway.
way we used to visit my grandparents. We used to go on train.
Yeah. Yeah.
We used to get our family used to travel up there on um, on a train.
Okay.
A fond memory
Oh,
of that.
yeah. Okay, so one of the story we didn't get to on Monday was about this Cheese Secrets calling it a day in Niagara on the Lake, but they say they'll be back. Somehow. Okay, bye bye. Sorry. You're nice and everything. I've been there a couple of times. Nice little bundles, nice little gifts. Um, but I don't expect to see them back.
Oh, so you
Unfortunately.
covered the cheese thing yesterday.
Well, no, we didn't. But I didn't cover anything yesterday. I had the day off.
Oh, okay. You didn't get a guest. Okay.
Yeah, no, I tried a couple of people. Nobody was available.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So okay. So anyway, so calling it a day, that's fine. That happens, right? It's okay. But the important story today is we're expecting more rain. When is this going to give up?
Isn't that isn't that wonderful? More
Yeah.
rain. That's all we need.
Yeah. When is it going to give up, lighten up, Mind you, I'm grateful for one thing is that we don't have the horrible hot summer that we had last year. Couldn't really even go out in the outside at all last year. It was just so stiflingly hot.
Yeah. I think. Well, one thing that has never changed, like everybody's saying, "Oh, wow, the weather's changed and it's really bad and all that," and I've never seen it like this. Blah blah blah. That's the one thing I hear just about every summer,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
and I
it's
have ever since I was
sometimes
a kid.
sometimes Canadians forget what summer is like. They go through winter and they complain bitterly about how bad winter is, and they forget what summer's like.
Yeah, but also when it comes to winter, everybody's, "Oh, wow, this is the weirdest winter we've ever had." Blah blah blah. No, I
Yeah.
think that the thing that never changes about Southern Ontario weather is that it's always changeable.
Well, the one thing about that, of course, is Dave, is you experienced the winter of '77. From your description, I'm going. I can't even conceive what that would have been like. Where you're abandoning cars and the snow's up to, way up
Oh
there,
yeah,
right? I
oh
just
yeah,
can't perceive what that is like, because even though you describe it, and I'm not saying I disbelieve you, not in the least. It's just there's it just boggles the belief, You just don't because you've never experienced that, you've never been trapped in by snow. How the hell do you survive that?
yeah. It was insane.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
cars were buried. I remember
yeah,
walking on top of cars because the drifts were over top. The snow was over top of the cars, so I'm walking along Thorlstone Road on top of cars,
yeah,
basically because the snow was had covered them all, and
yeah,
the snow would be packed down by strong winds, so you didn't sink in the snow.
yeah,
And
yeah,
watching front end loaders dig out cars, and throw them away by the hundreds. And where's your props, Wheels? I didn't see the bubble machine. I got to get me one of them. What
bubble.
Gary's talking about there is when we were doing, Paul and I were doing the show on Monday about the agenda, the city hall agenda. Anytime it was remotely celebratory news in the agenda, Paul would get his bubble machine. He's got a little bubble machine, and we make it look like things to celebrate, and put out the bubble machine. So I think we need a bubble machine on this show for sure. It gave me an idea. I maybe get a bubble machine when I do bingo call, and then when somebody comes in, phones in a winner, then I can hit the bubble machine. We've got a winner, and I can put the bubble.
So what you want is actually something to make sounds like this. Oh, come on. All right, well, getting that going. Make sure it works first.
Well, anyway, we have more rain coming, and that's not going to be good. I don't even know if the farmers were able to get their equipment working yet in the fields. Although when I did talk to one farmer lady, she said, yeah, there wasn't going to be any problem at this point. But that subsequently has rained a couple times since then. And that's what my big fear is for the farmers, and whether or not they're going to make a profit this year with the amounts of rain coming in. We have the vintners. We have our vintners who are going to be making wine out of this year's crop. Is it going to affect them? Is it going to affect their bottom line? Agribusiness in Southern Ontario, in the Niagara region, accounts for about $1.5 billion of business. It's huge to our economy here in Niagara.
Yeah.
What we want is a healthy, strong agribusiness, which means vintners and tender fruit and all that, and other varieties of farming, corn or whatever else. And we got saturated ground out there. Is this going to put pressure on their bottom line? And we got more rain coming. So I don't know what's going to happen there. My fears are particularly for the farmers, although, of course, I have a lot of sympathy with the homeowners who have flooded basements and so on.
Yeah.
Because, that's going to be a pain in the neck. A friend of mine was telling me just last night that he had to get his vacuum out, that he had leaks coming into his home when the big drenching was happening. But they were small, and he was able to keep up on them. But there you have it. So the whole area here is going to be saturated again. And we found, too, that people are not covered by their insurance as they might feel that they are. And they have to look at that very, very carefully. The same fellow I was talking about last night had kind of figured out that might be a problem when he had bought his insurance policy and made sure that those things were included in it, because they normally aren't. Overland rain or water getting into your basement or flooding your basement are not covered by these things, right? So you have to be very careful what your insurance covers. Even for things like earthquakes and hurricanes. Like I discovered once that my policy did not cover me for an earthquake, but did for a hurricane, something like that, or the reverse. So have a look at those. Sometimes it's only pennies. Also, if you're just as a reminder, if you're going for your auto insurance, there is a section there. If you get in an accident, the insurance supplies you X amount of money every month or every week in lieu of your wages. Make sure you look at that, because it's a very minimal amount. You can increase that with only a few bucks more a month on your insurance. And that I did that. I took that advice from somebody who had been in a car accident. I did that, and lo and behold, I got in a car accident.
Yeah.
That clicked in for me. So keep that in mind. There's many, many things. Like you think once you get your insurance, oh, well, you're covered. You may not be. House or car. Just have a really, really good look at them and ask your broker what options are available to you. Don't sign it. People think, okay, well, I got my house insurance, I'm insured now, whatever. Also, I had an incident when I went to Zimbabwe where we got into a fire situation where all our stuff was burnt down in a fire. And then I had to come home and reclaim some of that. I got travel insurance through CAA, one of CAA's people. It was useless. It was really, really difficult to get them. They were supposed to be the priority cover to do the first 2,000. This was back in 1999. Well, no, they fought every inch of the way. They tried to deny claim after claim, and it wasn't until my house insurance got that we went to appeal to our house insurance that they laid the law down on the travel insurance. They're the ones that forced the travel insurance to be the primary carrier, and then they picked up everything else afterwards. So anytime you do insurance, don't think you're covered. Have a real good look at your policy. Anyway, so what do we got next?
The other issue
coming. So that's about all we can report on that.
Yeah, the other issue though is about the impact on the homeless.
Yeah, that was a separate article. A couple days ago. So the homeless, as we found out that many people have had flooded basements, have one problem after another because of enormous amounts of rain. We have, of course, got a sizable homeless population out there.
Yeah,
I mean, anytime I see a homeless encampment, they seem to be smart enough to be up on higher ground. I mean, just for everyday rain, that's a good idea. But the kind of torrent that we had, the sort of deluge, was something else. So anyway, all it does in the article is says that makes them even more vulnerable. And where are they going to go? And sometimes the amount of rain incident we have cuts them off from facilities. It just tells you what you would pretty well figure anyway, wouldn't you?
Well, obviously the housing emergency is still ongoing. We know that. The where the encampments are, etc., does leave potentially some people with vulnerable. And of course, the most vulnerable people in our society are always the unhoused.
Yeah, so it's just the article just kind of pointed out this is just another level of it of suffering for the unhoused. Well, however, as we've known, the unhoused are being marginalized because it is of the opinion of many people that the unhoused don't want to be unhoused.
Yeah. But of course, Mike put out this question to Niagara Falls is about where can a homeless person in Niagara Falls go if the congregate shelter is itself perceived to be unsafe because of theft, drugs, violence, etc. And that's a question that is, I think, forever problematic with our the homeless situation as we sit right now.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Well, what are you going to do?
I think what we need to start to do is we need to start to figure out some form of solution where we put in place somehow that we need to build basic units where where homeless people can stay, rebuild their lives, have the necessary supports to move ahead, and not live on the streets anymore. Right? That's what I think we need to do. We need to start moving in a direction of kind of cleaning this mess up.
We've heard this for 15 years now. What you says is what everybody's been saying. Like half of Niagara has said that at one time or another, including me. Yeah. And there doesn't seem to be any solution. This is what we should do. Well, there's lots of what we should do is what can we do and what works. And we found that this problem has been insanely frustrating.
Yes.
And we cannot seem to get to the bottom of it. It's government incompetence. It is the idea that we cannot understand the underlying culture of the homeless and the drug addicted and the mentally frail people that are all victimized by all this. It is not just economic. That would be easy if it was just economic, because we can put people in shelters and we can put them in not-for-profit housing, and we can do all those
But
things.
we don't
But
have
it's not working. It's not working on a segment of the unhoused. It is a particular problem,
Well,
and I think it has to do more. We really don't understand the causes of it deeply enough, because it just keeps occurring.
Well, I actually think it's not about understanding the causes of it. It's that nobody's. We seem to want to build these shelters that don't protect anybody, that leave everybody open to having their property stolen. What we need to do is to house them, as I said, basically in very basic units where they start to have a home again. And I think things will improve.
Well, how do you do that without intruding on their privacy to make sure they don't have the drugs? Because what happens to a lot of homeless people go into shelters is that they make a mess of it. They make a mess of the bathrooms. They make them they throw litter all over the place. All you have to do is go in front of a St. Andrews and see what kind of pigsty that they leave outside there. Look at what's happening at Summer Street in Maine.
I agree.
It's a pigsty out there. So how do you control that? You want to give them a nice little place to live, and they'll go in it and they'll destroy it. Where do you find that? That's a la-di-da solution. Sorry, Peter. That's a la-di-da solution. Yes, this is what we should do. Make them a nice little house. Well, how do you do that without infringing upon their privacy and ensuring they don't do drugs and behave properly?
Because part of the solution is to actually have the right kind of help available to them. They don't get into the housing unless they agree to be assessed and have the.
All right, look what's happening on Buchanan Street, and look what's happening at Summer Street, and those are the areas where they have the facilities of people that will take care of them or try to help them. And what is their behavior like there? Yeah. You have many people are trying to behave themselves and trying to and are thankful for the situation to get out of it, but many of them don't, and that's why you have the police there all the time, and that's why you have the region getting in trouble with the locals, because the region said we're going to put these places here and we're going to adapt them for people who are can be saved, basically, that we'll take the ones that we think that will benefit from a place like this, and they don't, and they make a problem for the neighborhood and everything else. So how do you I've heard, I'm sorry, but I've heard what you said 10,000 times, and I've said it myself 10,000 times, and I've had to come to the conclusion that it will not work. Right? It will not work. How do you stop that cycle of addiction, mental health? Right.
Okay, there is a cycle, but the thing is, I agree that there's a cycle there, and as Mike says, things like, we've got to have dry clinics and everything like that, but it's not an easy thing, and part of it is about monitoring, yes, and there are some that will respond properly to monitoring.
Well, there are already places out there that will help people will respond well, but usually what they do is they mix them with other people that don't respond well.
And that's the problem.
Even more difficult for them to separate themselves from that kind of environment.
And that's part of the problem.
And more dryo clinics, that's good. But will they go to the dryo clinics? We find that they don't go to the dryo clinics. I'm telling you, the only way to do this is to force them into a dryo clinic, or force them into concentration camps, basically. So that kind of idea that I don't particularly like either. Yeah. So you have a mentally ill, drug addicted population that doesn't really want to be fixed. We can provide as many dryo clinics as we want. I'm not so sure that's going to do anything. That might help a few, and I'm willing to go with it. But this is a problem much deeper than saying, all we need is more affordable housing and dry out clinics and drug and mental health clinics.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of those out there already, and they're really not that effective, are they?
Yeah. Well, yes, and
at least not what I can see. Maybe they are more effective.
Yeah. It just seems to me that we're not doing enough.
Seems to me we don't understand the problem enough, because all our efforts fall flat in their face, it seems.
Yeah. It seems that is very true as well.
I mean, I've said all the things that everyone else says. Oh, we need more affordable housing. We need more clinics. We need blah, blah, blah. And these people will come off the street if they want. But what I find is these people don't want to come off the street. And a lot of them behave antisocial. They make a big mess. They leave excrement in cemeteries. They break into empty houses, and and when they do go to a shelter, the people in the shelter that are taking care of them don't particularly like them, because they act like animals a lot. Well, not all of them. Some of them act like real animals and make a real pigsty of the place. So what are you going to do? Right? What do you do?
Yeah.
Solar eclipse today.
Yep. I don't think we're going to see it.
We'll only get 2% anyway, from what I understand.
Don't look at the sun, anyone. You're going to burn out your eyeballs.
Yeah.
Especially only at 2%.
Mm.
Yeah. And Rick says there's money to be made in homelessness. Well, I don't know who's making money off of it, but
not the homeless.
I mean, there's a scam for everything out there. That's for sure. When you've got a war, there's people who profit from war. When you've got a pandemic, there are people that take advantage of that. I suppose there's people finding ways in which to scam the unhoused.
Yeah,
make money off that. But I think that the very idea is frustrating. I've heard the same solutions over and over and over, for over 10 years. The same thing over and over and over. We need more affordable housing. We need more clinics, dry out clinics. We need more mental health. So why isn't any of that happening? Or if it is happening, why isn't it effective?
I think part of the problem is that people talk. There's a lot of talk that is about possible solutions, but nobody's trying the solutions.
I don't think so. I think a lot of people are trying different solutions and different attitudes. I think that's where the level of frustration has come in.
Well, I think that we're not. I don't think we're trying them properly.
Well, why? Who is trying, and what are they doing wrong? What are they doing wrong?
Half steps, half measures. But again, I don't know.
You're saying there's a lot of people out there putting a lot of effort into helping the unhoused, and what you're saying is they're not doing it right and they're not doing it enough.
No, I think
I'm sure you're insulting those people.
And most of the people who are doing this stuff are actually putting a lot of effort in. The problem is that they're operating they're putting a lot of effort into it, but they're operating in a flawed system. All right. Anyway.
Well, yeah, everybody can tell you that, but nobody knows what is the unflawed system.
Yeah, I know.
Because what they've done is they've tried this, they've tried that, they've tried all different manner of things, and it doesn't work. Why doesn't it not work? And you can only blame you could blame the economy on some of it, the unhoused, because of the affordability. You can blame mental health. You can blame addiction. You can blame a number of different things, but nobody seemed to have found the solution.
All right.
And the only solution is one elected representative leading.
Just wanted to say good morning to Doc Holliday from our friends on the US side.
Yeah, I'm sure they have the same problem with homelessness.
I'm sure
over there. It seems to be a North American thing. Good morning, Doc.
It's not just a North America thing. I think it's it's a it's a
Worldwide.
it's widespread across the world. Yeah. In fact, actually,
Well,
my son in Kenya was telling me about, homelessness in, some of the people on the streets there.
Well, when I was in India 8 years ago, I was in a city, Jaipur. I was walking around a city in Jaipur, India, and they have a huge compound for the homeless. Now, there's a place where there is a lot of people that are poor, and they had this huge place where they would take care of the homelessness, make sure that they had food and shelter. But it was a little bit different. It seemed like the homeless there were very, very much more attached to their economic situation and much less homeless because of drugs and mental addictions, or drug addictions and mental health issues. It seemed that they were genuinely a part of the economic sort of poor people. But I was very impressed what they had done. This is a relatively poor country. I mean, it's aspiring very well now, but they had, in the city of Jaipur, they had this huge area, huge building or place where the unhoused could go.
Yeah,
and I thought it was very impressive.
And by the way, a comment that I have to make by sorry, Gary, is that Doc, Ronnie, and Noel are doing a fantastic job up there. Keep up the fight. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I wonder if do they feel that Governor Hochul is doing what she should be doing in this particular case, as we found that Blakeman has criticized her?
Yeah, probably not. Right.
I think we should keep our eyes open on this side of the border, because we had the same chemical problems that they did, and we probably, I don't know if we have the same radiology problem. I would like to know the sources. It seems there's two definite sources of the radiation over there. Go ahead.
Yeah, we certainly know on this side. We certainly know about places like Norton and the other places that have come to light.
Well, Norton has no radiation around it, so I mean, there's nothing of that kind. Nothing of that kind is discovered here. But the stuff I've been reading lately about what's happening in Niagara Falls, New York, and environs, areas in and around Niagara Falls, New York, they suspect there's two sources of radiation pollution. That would be that stuff that was done for the Manhattan Project and or any other weapons manufacturing shortly thereafter. And those were dumps that they can identify because they've told people, they said, well, this is where we dumped it. It's the other stuff that was mixed with landfill is the real mystery. They feel that it is a byproduct of metallurgy somehow, and that the slag from the metallurgy processes, the industrial processes, got mixed with fill. That's a good way of getting rid of it. They do that with the slag from steel mills too. They can make roads or whatever else out of it. You know, the ash from the coal burning plants where it's mixed with concrete. You know, so there's uses for the leftovers of industrial processes. But some of this stuff got mixed, and it was, I'm not sure they even knew that it was radioactive when they mixed it with landfill.
Probably not. Yeah, and that's the worst thing about it, is they just mixed it, assuming that there was no problem, because nobody, and you don't exactly carry a Geiger counter with you, do you, when you're doing that kind of work?
And it's very frustrating, particularly when you have that elementary school, a temporary elementary school. Was it on Bomber Road or something like that? And was and they don't have any record of what kids went there and may have been affected by that radiation and may have developed cancer subsequently because of it. Yeah, they don't even have any record of what kids went there and what I mean, that's got to be super frustrating.
Yeah, exactly. Because at least if you have a record of who went there, you can go and actually track them down and test, can't you?
You could test, you could make a scientific study of it, and if and you could also maybe get recompense for your health issues if the city put you at, or the government put you at risk by putting a school over top of radiation, and you can maybe backtrack of whoever dumped the stuff there. I don't know. It's such a frustrating situation.
Yeah. All right. Moving on, Niagara Region is set to join the federal-provincial development charge reduction program. So they reduce the region will reduce the residential development charges for 3 years in exchange for grants amounting to roughly $750 million. And this is part and parcel of Doug Ford's program to actually reduce the red tape to get housing starts up.
Well, it's not going to help the taxpayer in any way. All it is this is a carrot from the provincial government. They want to get more residential starts to bring down the cost of housing. Obviously, that's a good idea. However, it's pretty hard to get the developers to move on this. So what they're going to, one of the carrots is to reduce the developmental charge that contractors, developers have to pay up. So what the government in Ontario says, look, you don't charge, or you reduce the charge of development charges on anyone building residential homes. And what we'll do is we'll fund your projects that you need that money for. So that development charge, that money you got from the development charges, will supplement you. And in this particular case, for the Niagara region, they're going to do the trade-off. We'll take care of a large part of your water and sewage treatment plant that you're building in Niagara Falls. We'll give you money for that, and you don't charge the developers development charges. It's pretty much a trade-off.
But but also the other thing about this is it's supposed to be used for infrastructure development. So therefore, the digging the roads up, it's going to in part pay for digging the roads up to get those new developments connected onto the sewer and water and electricity systems.
I suppose it's up to the city how they use it, because the city has its own plan and how it's going to proceed.
Yeah.
But it pays for a lot of that through development charges.
And
it's one of the sources of revenue for the city. So basically what the province is saying, don't charge the developers so that we can encourage them to build more residential homes. That's what we need. And in lieu of that, we will give you money for these infrastructure things that you normally use that money for. That's basically it.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe we will have the funds to actually get the South Niagara wastewater treatment plant finished.
Yeah.
That's my hope, and as well as other projects around the region. Right.
It's long overdue. It's the water and wastewater thing was one of those projects that our super intelligent politicians kicked down the road year after year after year to make their budget look better. And then finally the rooster comes to roost. Basically, hey, we've got this thing that you've ignored for 50 years. And guess what? We cannot put wire or duct tape on it anymore. You got to get a new one.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Moving on. The Ontario line is basically tripling the original budget cost.
Oh, you're talking about the Metrolinks and stuff like that in Toronto?
Exactly. That's the one. Yeah. This is supposed to be more than just Toronto, though. This is supposed to reach out and bring in a lot of surrounding areas into contact more with Toronto. But the trouble is we still haven't, it isn't finished, and the costs have reached now $34 billion, and they're just going up. They're continuing to go up.
So in other words, situation normal. The government has got a project going and it's gone way over budget. Oh, tell me what's different about this. Who didn't expect this? Every time the government sticks their nose into any project, they say it's going to cost this much and it's going to be delivered at this particular time. Every one of them goes way over budget. Even little things like our McBain Center, when it was built some years ago, it went way over budget. What about the exchange? I'm talking about little government funded things like the exchange. It blew up.
That went from 7 to 10 to 12 to 17 when it was done, right?
Yeah. So if our exchange is 3 times more than we expected to pay for it, well, then why wouldn't the Metrolinks be 3 times more?
Yeah.
Seriously, government gets their nose into it, and then all of a sudden the contractors see advantage coming along, and there's more discovery work or more. We can't get this. They're blaming supply chain lines on this. Where have we heard that before? We heard that during COVID, didn't we? Everything's gone up because of the supply chain issues.
Yeah.
Now, we would have been within budget except for the supply chain issues that are happening right now. I mean, doesn't anybody plan for any of this? And nor the contingency plan?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Okay, so Ontario line, so that, and this doesn't really surprise me at all, right?
It's just really frustrating.
Yeah, it is. And we, when is it going to open? Because we don't even really, they were talking about 10.9 billion cost in 2019. It's now gone up to 34 billion, and I'm sure it's going to be probably 60 or 70 by the time it's done, right?
Yes, and why do we need this? Well, Toronto and Hogtown gets all the loot anyways, right? So for those who don't know, the American friends, Hogtown is a nickname for Toronto. Anyway, so Hogtown gets all the loot, because of the big city, and they're going to bring in people. And why do they need this Metrolink and everything else? It's because they didn't plan the roads and highways well enough. They kicked that situation down the road. And what do we got? Some of the worst entanglements and traffic jams in North America because of the lack of oversight of our politicians. Thank you very much. So now we need, we better put more public transportation in to help facilitate that. And what happens is they mess that up too. Well, situation normal.
And Mike's saying
generation after generation.
And Mike's saying the exchange is blowing up. The Burgoyne Bridge was the largest scam to hit the Niagara region. And the exchange is problematic because right now it seems like that was a wasted effort because it doesn't seem to be, it's not working, is it?
Yeah, it's almost like it's pointless for them to give projections. This is how much it's going to cost, and this is how much, and this is when it's going to be delivered, when it's always late and always way over budget.
Yeah.
So what kind of oversight do we have here? I don't know. I'm in a bad mood today.
It's a problem, and I'm with you on that one because one of the things that and I'm not saying, not criticizing any individual project manager because I'm sure you've got your hands tied back behind your back, but it seems to me when it comes to government project management, they don't permit things to be built, to be done right. For example, if you had a let's say that you had a company who had a plant on both sides of the river, they would effectively build it. They'd do the studies, figure out that they needed a bridge across between the two plants, and they build that bridge, and they get it done on time, in budget. And it would be, in fact, they'd probably get it done ahead of schedule, right? And it wouldn't collapse. It wouldn't be problematic because profits at stake, yes, but they would have proper project management doing the bridge.
I don't know. I've worked for the big steel. I've worked, of course, as a construction millwright. I've been around all the big plants, the power plants, the steel mills, the car plants, you name it. I've been in there and working in there. And what I have found is the private industry are as big a blunderers as the government is. They have their own internal government system, and they blow it like crazy, particularly with maintenance costs and other things. I mean, we had that big explosion. The cracker went up on the refinery down in Nanticoke, and everybody warned them over and over and over again that was going to be a major if it happened, and it was likely to happen. But they pushed production anyway, and they blew it up. And all that extra production they made, all that extra profit got absorbed plus more in trying to rebuild the place. So I think there's problems everywhere, whether it's within a factory or whatever, whoever is the people who are running it. But I mean, I take your point. You're more likely to get something more efficient from private industry than you are government.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, you know.
Yeah, I'm not saying they don't cock up, but hey, Rick makes the point. It's all okay. Everything's fine. Just let's build a highway under the 401.
Yeah, that's Dougie's idea. You know, I don't know. I don't know what's with politicians these days. Are they all nuts? Are they all taking a page out of the orange windbag and in Washington would come up with extraordinary ideas that don't make sense?
Right. Okay. So back in 2017, Antigua and Barbuda removed invasive rats and goats from one of these islands, and
Rondella.
Pardon?
Isn't it called Rondella, the island? Rondella?
Redona.
Redona.
You said that just as I was about to read it, and then you confused me. And apparently, vegetation biomass has grown over 2,000%, and the ground dragons have increased 13-fold on that island.
All right, let's make this clear to our audience. This is something I threw in there. And of course, it's an article by the Times of India, which tells you how how things have become so global that Times of India are reporting on a little island called Redona that is part of Antigua and Barbuda. Antigua and Barbuda are an island state in the Caribbean. So it's a small, I think they only got about 100,000 people. There's two islands.
Something like that.
There's two islands that are fairly close together, but they are separated, but they're the same nation. And part of their territorial, part of their territory is a little island called Redonda. Now, what they have done there, and now Redonda, now back in the days of the pirates and the Spanish Main and colonizers of one kind or another,
yeah,
what they used to do when they first got there, they started putting pigs and goats and things on all these little isolated islands in case they ever got shipwrecked or ever needed a source of meat or whatever. They could go on one of these islands and get a goat or a pig, depending on. They put goats on some islands, they put pigs on others. And what they've done is, but that, of course, when they went to these islands, it also brought rats with them. So this little island of Redonda, the government of Antigua and Barbuda were able to isolate this and go to that little island and remove the invasive goats and the rats so that the island can come back to its original form.
Yeah.
It's an exercise in environmental readjustment, basically, putting it back to where it was. Getting the invasive species.
That's a massive challenge to go across that island and get rid of the goats. Are probably a lot easier to capture than the rats, I would think.
The rats would be a tough one, but they managed to do it. And what was the result was immediate return back to the original way the island should have been in its ordinary environmental evolution.
Yeah.
And what happens when you get rid of the invasive species, the island returns back to its way it should be evolving. and that is caused a better sanctuary for birds and lizards and other and a lot of species that were become vulnerable, near extinct, and so the island returned rather quickly. It's a very good lesson for scientists. Basically, we found this in a different way with when the Yellowstone Park and the big parks in the West in the American West, they had killed off all their wolves, and the whole environment of these huge parks, these big state parks, had changed, and they had seen that it wasn't healthy. It wasn't a healthy environment for the, if they don't have the proper amount of normal species that they should have, then the situation doesn't develop well enough. So what they did, they brought in wolves from Canada. Remember, we used to have these trade-offs, right? Michigan got moose from us, and they gave us wild turkeys, right, in return, because they killed all our moose and we'd killed all our wild turkeys. So we got wild turkeys from them, and they get moose from us. Well, they got a lot of wolves from Canada and put them in the big parks out west. And what it did is returned the whole situation back to what it should be, because removing one species, one major species like that, made a mess of the big parks, and the environment there. And when we got turkeys from Michigan back here in Ontario, it made a big difference in our forests and our fields, because it started to return back to where it should be.
And it's
what the turkeys do.
Yeah, and it's the same problem with insects, because there was a complaint, we covered this a couple of years back, about the dying off of the bees, and it's still a big issue.
Yeah, but I'm saying you can turn things back to where they should be. And when you artificially remove a species like a wolf from the wilderness where it normally should be, you mess things up. Generationally. So they put the wolves back in the Yellowstone Park and all those other big state parks over there, and we returned the turkeys to our area, and things improved. And this little island shows you what can be done if you put the proper effort into returning an environment back to its original state.
Yeah, and presumably this is an uninhabited island anyway, because otherwise you would, if there was human habitation there, you wouldn't be able to stop the rat or mice infection anyway.
Well, that was the point of, in like I said before, the Spanish, then the French, the Dutch, the English would put animals on these remote little islands just in case they needed a source of food. You know, there's I think in the Bahamas they have islands that are still just run by pigs that were put there hundreds of years ago, in case sailors or the guy, even maybe the Royal Navy needed a source of food suddenly. But definitely merchants or colonizers, you know, you could have a hurricane, you could have a big problem, and you could be lost. And you could go to an island like that and find goats or pigs in which to butcher a supply of food. So so anyway, this is just my science piece for the week, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know if I put everybody to sleep so far. I don't know.
All right. No, that's fine. I think that's fine. Okay. So moving on, and Netanyahu's veto and the limits of America is basically, Trump has the power and the leverage really to enforce his Gaza plan, but Netanyahu is basically betting that he won't have the political will to do so.
Well, Netanyahu in particular, but any other Israeli leader, has found out that they can manipulate the president of the United States, and they all have done it, by just delaying, interfering, resisting until they get what they want. Netanyahu is just playing this game again. So Trump has come up with a peace plan for Gaza, and basically Netanyahu says, no, that's not what we want. You do what we tell you, basically, or we're just going to make it real more problematic for you. What they hope to do is just to exhaust the American administration so that they get their way eventually, and that's usually what happens. But it's become more of an issue as we have realized that for the first time ever, the interference of AIPAC and the Israeli lobby in the United States elections has not been going over very well. The average person is now very much aware of this.
Yeah.
This has been going on for many, many years. There's books being, according to the famous political commentator John Mersheimer from the University of Chicago, political science, has written books about this, and it's never had any kind of effect at all because of the Israeli lobby is so powerful. It pretty much determines who's going to report on them and who isn't. We found in the 2016 election in the States that the candidates were actually going to AIPAC rallies and claiming that they're going to support Israel with everything. We had Hillary Clinton and Trump competing with one another, saying how much better they love Israel than the other candidate.
Yeah.
The only one that didn't go there was Bernie Sanders, who is a Jew, who's Jewish, and he didn't go there because he didn't believe in AIPAC and the manipulations, the machinations of AIPAC.
Yeah.
We found out what happened to Thomas Massey, had huge amounts of outside money coming in. Abdul al-Sayed, he had to contend with enormous amounts of money that came from outside of his state.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? Imagine here running for political office in Niagara Falls, Ontario, and you've got millions and billions of money coming in from Alberta because somebody from Alberta wants somebody else running your state, your city, the one they want. It's amazing what they get. That has to all be fixed, basically. That can never be thought to be fair when you have zillions of dollars coming in from out of state to influence the election. If I was a Michigander, I'd be really angry, or a Kentuckian in the state of Massey. I'd be really angry that somebody else is trying to interfere with what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
But we found that the American political system is beholden to Israel in many different ways, and that's because of the Israeli lobby, particularly the AIPAC and the super PACs that are under the guise of the United Democratic Project, which is basically just AIPAC with a different name. So I don't know. I think it's very clear. I don't know what Trump's going to do because he is beholden to the Israeli lobby in many ways, and he's come up with a peace plan, and Netanyahu's just snubbed him and pretty much told them, "We're the boss here, not you. Just give us the weapons and shut up. We want more money. We want more weapons. Shut up, and we're going to tell you what's going to happen. Don't try to put a peace thing here, unless I don't want a peace." Netanyahu says, "I don't want peace." Right? I'm going to keep bombing. I want to keep killing people. And I think there's been a couple thousand people killed in Hamas ever since the so-called peace deal. A couple thousand Palestinians killed.
Well, the killing keeps going on.
We saw what the Israeli lobby and Netanyahu did to the United States. They got them involved in the Iran war that they can't get out of. That's humiliating. That's humiliating Trump right now. I feel sorry for Trump because he bought the line, hook, line, and sinker, and now he's humiliated.
Yeah. And he went from being the president that didn't want war, who was going to clear it up, to now being involved in another forever war.
Yeah, and I don't know, his political alignments are part of his problem. He's beholden to AIPAC and the big Israeli lobbies. At the same time, he's trying to sort out a problem that they don't want solved.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know, that it really just shows how Israel manipulates the United States. It just keeps delaying, interfering, resisting, and they know that every 4 years they're going to be 4 to 8 years, there's going to be another prime minister or president, and they'll just start manipulating them in the same way.
Yep. Well, it's about time the US basically says, the problem with APEC, as I see it, is that and the US has to see this, is that it's a foreign power manipulating. We've had the challenge here with Canada and the Chinese influence here. It probably didn't change any governmental decisions, but it's still bad enough that it even occurred.
Well, and they do dumb stuff like was it Ambassador Huckstra? Is that his name? That's the ambassador, the U.S. ambassador in Israel. He's a born again nitwit who thinks that the end of the world is coming, and all the Jews have to return to the Holy Land so that they can be converted into Christianity by a returning Jesus Christ, and then there'll be 1,000 years of peace or something like that. So when you got people that believe stuff like that in power, I mean, seriously?
Yeah, it's problematic. Yeah,
even Pete Hegseth, he was talking years ago, not long ago though, before he was in government, he was talking about building a third temple in Jerusalem, right? You know what that would do? That would cause World War III. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So one of two ways to go. Okay. Let's just go with the next one. All right. Doug Ford there's accusations that Doug Ford is consolidating power and weakening local democracy, far below democratic normality.
Yeah, this is an opinion piece, but it is it's about a different area of Ontario, but it echoes right here in the Niagara region. So Doug Ford wants to appoint the chairman of the region.
Yeah.
Right. And that gives them outsized control, because any agenda that the province wants to pursue, if they have the man at the top or the woman at the top, whoever's the person they appointed, will have extraordinary powers to minimize the effect of the elected council and to force or pursue the interests of the province. I'm not so sure that's a healthy democratic system. What you do is you minimize the elected body and impose the will of the province over top of that body. I'm not so sure that's a very good idea. It is a removal of some of our democratic ideals, but on the other hand, the province would maintain that the regions are ineffective. They can't get anything done. They need direction, and they can have some part of the elected part of the of governance, but the rest has to come down from Hogtown.
See, part of the problem here is that when it came to regional governments, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of people have been saying that the people who shouldn't be on the regional government are the mayors, and those are the only people that are going to be left this October on the regional government will be the mayors, right? And whoever the elected selected chair is. And let's be honest, they haven't at the moment selected who the new chair is for the Niagara region, although it's looking at the moment like the mayor of Welland, the current mayor of Welland, may well be the favorite for it, right?
All right. It talks here about this, of course, is about the Waterloo area, but it's the same for here.
Yeah,
and it points out in the region of Waterloo, between 78 and 97, almost 20 years there, that the regional chair was appointed by elected members of the regional council. In other words, the members that were elected then elect the regional chair. Since 97, the chair has been chosen directly by voters from across the region. In other words, they took that part out of it. And just like we vote for a mayor and a council, so Waterloo decided they're going to vote for their chair and their members of the council. But now the government's sticking its nose in and deciding it's going to put the chair, mandate the chair. So it says the power of the regional chair, and this doesn't sound good, the ability to appoint and fire the chief administrative officer and senior staff by himself, right? The chair can do that independently. Not good. Preparing the regional budget and having veto power over budget amendments made by councilors, but the councilors have to have a 2/3 in order to veto it. That's just the same as we can do with the strong mayor powers here, right? As long as you get a 2/3 majority, but that's easy to do with like an 8-member council that we have. And each elected councilor will have at least one vote, but some will get more if they are from a populated area. I don't know. This does sound like it minimizes the ability of the electorate to control their own destiny, doesn't it?
Yeah. But again, what we've ended up with is, remember right now, when we're coming into the October election, the one thing you are not voting for is regional council.
Yeah. So what about Doug Ford's meddling here? There's many who would say, well, yeah, this is what we need because regional government just does not work very well. It's always in some sort of impasse. The budgets go up and up and up, and the money is not spent efficiently. So you need a kind of a dictator, a CEO in charge that takes orders from Queen's Park.
Yeah,
that's one argument. Do you follow that argument? Do you think it's a good idea?
I get the argument. The other thing that I'm having trouble with Doug Ford's government right now is the fact that they've been using these omnibus bills. 60 was the more recent one. 68 was another one, and these omnibus bills that basically one piece of legislation that modifies that and that and that and that and that goes all over the place to modify things. One of the big problems about that type of bill is that it rarely actually has the effect. It leaves gaping great holes in the laws.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of over right now, and I would just like to conclude this argument with, I don't trust Doug Ford because when he first got elected, he promised in Ontario that beer would be $1 a bottle. It never happened. It never happened. Do you remember that promise?
Yeah, $1 a bottle.
He was on TV saying, I'll do this, I'll do that, and not only that, I'll make sure that Ontario you can get beer for $1 a bottle. Oh, what a major lie.
That was the revolution starts here, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously.
Isn't there that song that was there'll be free beer for all the workers?
I don't know that song, but I don't know if the Ontario government used that song, but there you have it. Promises made, promises not kept. I could live with all the other corruption and all the other, but I wanted that $1 of beer, but oh no.
Yeah, no, beer's gone up. Beer's up in, all right. And we'll call it quits at that point, Dave.
All right. Without further ado, I bid you adieu. I will talk about Gaza. I will mention Gaza. We already talked about it a little bit, but that thing is just becoming more and more of a nightmare. And as we pointed out in that article, Netanyahu is using the same old tactics over and over again, humiliating the president of the United States when he's trying to put a peace deal together as much as I don't think he's capable of it, they're even trying to stop him from even trying. Anyway, without further ado, I bid you adieu.